always cut me off. Bastards. All right, folks, welcome to the Battlefront Livestream podcast for Lack of a Better Name. I am your regular host, Nathan P. Butler. You can find my Star Wars Timeline Gold, the most comprehensive Star Wars chronology available anywhere. No, not a joke, no, not an exaggeration, over at StarWarsFanWars.com/timeline. You can check out both podcasts I'm involved with right now, Star Wars Beyond the Films and Cloud City Casino. Star Wars Beyond the Films being about legends and canon with Mark Hurleman, and Cloud City Casino being about gaming with a dash of collecting with Michael Morris, both over at StarWarsReport.com. And, of course, on this YouTube channel, you can find things like my vlog, the voice of reason or lack thereof, or perhaps from the Star Wars Home Video Library, or in the very near future, when I get a chance to actually sit down and edit the things, the tiny bit it needs to be edited, Fantasy Flight Games, basically mini reviews and overviews of contents of new products. I just went through and recorded reviews and like quick little looks of the Bespin Gambit Wave for Imperial Assault, but I don't have those up quite yet. They've just been transferred. I'll be editing those tonight or probably tomorrow. So those will be up very, very soon. With me this time, as was the case in a few recent broadcasts, my partner in crime, partner in running an establishment in the clouds, the man who was too cheap to give me insurance, so I needed Palpacare, and on Cloud City Casino now have a droid body, Mr. Michael Morris. Hey, Michael.
Hey man, it's not my fault that you didn't get past your first 90 days before you had a work accident.
Oh, damn, that is true, isn't it? That probably is true as far as how long I've been on the podcast. Wow, that sucks. All right, folks, well, we're just going to be diving in basically into Battlefront. There's nothing in particular that I'm working on right now aside from just building up credits and leveling, so grinding. I don't know if Michael will. I do want to show you here real quick something that I noticed as I was going through, and let me go ahead and get partner invites sent there from Michael. There you go. Somehow still playing as Catwoman, but that's okay. There's some bathroom issues going on there. We have basically, I realized when I went to now, Michael, you may be able to tell me this because I can't look at this because I've done them. Do you have any of the basic level HUT contracts left to do?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me what they cost? Because I know that the ones like Berserker and I think some of the weapon ones and the ones like the advanced, or not advanced, but like the upgraded version of Slug Thrower, like Slug Thrower 2 for the Scattergun, each of those cost 8,000 credits. Can you tell me what one of those lower level ones costs? Like the first step?
Give me 1 second here.
Because I came to a realization about this that almost had me pulling my hair out, as yet another thing that just drives me nuts when I realize it in the way that the game's progression is set up. But I'm wondering about some of these ones, like Slug Thrower 1 as opposed to 2 and that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah, let me check them right here, see what I may have not unlocked. Unfortunately...
Yeah?
I don't have anything that's not level 2. So I can tell you that, for instance, Slug Thrower level 2 is 8,000.
8,000.
And
right.
Combat Rush level 2 is 7,000. But
okay.
Everything else I have paid for.
Okay. So what I've recognized here, what I ran into, is most of those, at least the last handful that I did, were all 8,000. So they tend to vary, apparently. Even Combat Rush 2 is 7,000 rather than 8. But if you take a look at what it takes to level up once you get to, I think it's like about rank 40 really, but particularly once you're in this little weird chunk between 50, the level cap of the original game, versus 60 now with the level cap with the first DLC, it's 80,000 XP to rank up. And 80,000 XP turns into 8,000 credits, right? You just lop off a 0. So basically, you're able to purchase, not actually complete yet, get a purchase then complete it, but purchase approximately 1 HUT contract per leveling up at this higher level. And if you look at the individual star cards, which is something that I'm working on right now, I've got 13 left that all still need to be leveled up from regular to the upgraded version, all of which cost 7,000 to upgrade. 7,000, which is just basically 1,000 less, or 87.5% of an entire leveling up within the game at this level. So it strikes me, I mean, one of the things that was talked about early on was how, wow, it seems like given the progression and given how slowly you get credits, it does seem as though some of these things are overpriced. And I never really took the time to analyze the numbers. But holy shit, it's basically an entire leveling up worth, or almost such, to be able to upgrade any 1-star card or do any of those higher end HUT contracts. No wonder I'm at level 58 now after blowing through all the HUT contracts, because every one of them, just about, cost me almost or a full leveling up to be able to pull it off. That seems odd to me. It seems like kind of an overinflated price. Let's jump into a match and then get your thoughts on whether that is overinflated. Do you have a preference on a pack, as far or a mode in the expansion pack, or in the original game? I really don't, because like I said, I'm basically just grinding stuff out right now.
Yeah, just basically not blast.
Not blast. All right, well, let's see what the daily challenge is. 15 heavy blaster kills. You can do that anywhere. And you don't like blast. So would you like to do a big map or small map? There you go. We'll go with that. Big map or small map?
I don't care. Just pick one.
He doesn't care. All right, I'm just going to jump to Outer Rim.
Don't care.
I'm just jumping to Outer Rim here, and hopefully it will be something other than blast. Again, if you jump to Outer Rim, it's just going to throw you wherever. Let's make sure you're pulled along with me. It looks like there's a slot still open. There he is, or she, as the case may be. Extraction.
Oh.
We're extracting something in Jabba's palace. Apparently he's impacted right now. Yeah. So what do you think? The 8,000 for the big ones, for the bigger HUT contracts, 7,000 for every upgrade from a regular star card to an upgraded star card, and when you get to sort of the end game area of progression, you're looking at 8,000 credits earned per level of progression. Is that reasonable? Is that too expensive? Too cheap? What do you think? How balanced is it?
I don't think it's that bad myself. I mean, I just don't. I think it's fine.
Oh, okay. I'll give it to you. It seems to me, this is just one of those things that always gets me about this game, is just the it feels like progression is always super slow, and that just strikes me as yet another super slow. And dang, he's already off and running.
No, I do think excuse me, I do think that progression is slow. But as far as like the amount of money, that seems fine to me based on what house versus versus the amount of time you take to do them. So,
okay. I'll give it to you. Oh, and I'm not shooting well. I still killed the guy, but I'm lagging so bad that I didn't realize I'd even killed the guy before I dropped dead from being shot. Awesome. Yeah, so the only thing that I was really trying to do since finishing out the HUT contracts, I was trying to make sure that I had the 17K saved up so that whenever I finally do hit rank 60, I can buy the ugly Weequay face. What are you working on at the moment? Are you just slowly kind of just hitting what you can? Is there a particular goal in mind that you have? Come on, turn on.
So somehow or another with my that Rebly one, the one
the
that's
Relby,
boss gun.
whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that one, even though I managed to get 3 streaks with my targeting rifle and
Did
get
reset?
all the. Well, no, it didn't reset that. It just never counted up all of my my targeting rifle kills. So I got 15. Or I only have 13 targeting rifle kills, but yet I have 3 targeting rifle streaks.
Right.
Tell me how that happens.
That happened to me as well. That's one of the things for those who are watching, and feel free to drop questions in the chat and that sort of thing. We don't necessarily need to talk about what we're doing. Yeah, one of the issues that they've been having with HUT contracts is they don't track correctly a lot of the time. I had multiple ones that were bugged as I was doing them, and then I still have a couple that if I go to that page, it shows as if the stats say, oh, well, he hasn't earned it yet. When I've not only earned it, I've unlocked it, and I've been playing with those weapons. Because it just doesn't work correctly. Yo, motherfuckers blinded me. Greedo is about to fire. What? Huh? I just got a notice, a little red notice, that said Greedo is about to fire. I don't know that I've ever seen that before.
I mean, I think they are. I was gonna say something, and I'm like, nah, it's not. It was a Greedo did not shoot first yet, basically.
I saw that coming. I was like, okay, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? That was very odd.
I kind of feel like that's what they're doing.
I wonder if that's some kind of notification that he's about to do something crazy because Greedo has powered up all the way. Because I know that Greedo and Nine Num have that whole thing where their abilities change depending on how many kills they're getting while they're the heroes. That may be it. Right. I don't know that I've ever played with them enough to really crank that up. Heavy Blaster Streak. Okay, there's 7 kills. And thank goodness that this game, one thing definitely in its favor, that it doesn't really think of a streak as a streak. All that a streak means is this many kills with this weapon in one match. Possibly this many kills with this weapon in one match without switching, but it doesn't mean this many kills with one weapon without dying, like most games would call a streak. Because, damn. They'd be virtually impossible.
Oh, yeah.
This is not a game for those who don't like dying. So I run up the stairs. There we go. Uh-oh. Shot in the back. And then Leia took him out, so it's alright. Leia's got my back. Leia's like, girl power! Because, of course, I'm a Twi'lek, and the only Twi'lek option you have is a woman.
Yeah, wait a minute. You're giving me shit, and you're a lady.
Yeah, but... Yeah, that's true. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. The character needs a name. Like, this needs to be Numa from the Clone Wars and Rebels or something. There needs to be some reason why whenever you unlock the ability to play as a Twi'lek, you can only choose a woman. Or when you choose a Weequay, you're only choosing a male. With Quarren, I think you're only choosing a male, but good God, who could tell? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Damn, some ugly fish head mother... Oh, no. Do you hate it when you walk into a flash grenade and you're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Flash grenade. Oh, God! Here we go. So, I guess the news that we'll be covering, or one of the things we'll be covering on the next Cloud City Casino that we, as part of current events, all of a sudden, surprisingly, last week, I get home one day, and sitting on my doorstep are a couple packages from Miniature Market. The Bespin Gambit Wave has been released.
Yeah, really jealous. I want mine.
So, oh, there we go. Lego Lover says the Twi'leks are an all-female race. The males are just transgender. Didn't you get the memo? That explains so much.
Yeah.
This explanation sponsored by Target. There we go. Where I will still continue to shop, because even if people are up in arms and people are protesting, what does that mean for me? Shorter lines. Yeah. Just saying. It's all about the practicality.
Right.
But yeah, the Bespin Gambit set came, and the Bespin Gambit for Imperial Assault, this is the second of the two $40 expansions, as opposed to being a $60 expansion like Return to Hoth was, so it's the same size approximately as Twin Shadows. It's an odd one. You have Bespin locations, which are cool, right? So you got the dining room from the, we would be honored if you would join us. You've got the, No I Am Your Father place to hang. But it's interesting because of its selection, I guess, of miniatures. You've got, and I don't think I've seen this before. One of the instances that you run into is there's the Wing Guard, and the Wing Guard, of course, are the Bespin, the Cloud City security dudes. And what you get, oh, good, cargo, because I love cargo. You get normally, if you're going to have and maybe this is something I'm just forgetting from the original set, you can correct me on this, but it seemed to me that whenever you had the instance of here's a deployment card where you have a regular one and you have an elite version of the same thing, that you would wind up with enough miniatures that you could technically play with all of them at once. And what the Wing Guard does this time is it gives you two of the regular version and one of the elite version, each of which deploys as 3 different miniatures, which means that you've got 6 miniatures for enough cards to put out 9 characters. And the rules say, if you're playing in the campaign, you can only use what's in the box. You cannot add miniatures to it beyond what's in, say, an expansion or something like that. But you can't, for instance, go buy another copy of the core set and then use those 3. So it seems weird to me that you've got basically 1 extra deployment card than you actually have the minis for. Has that happened before that you know of, Michael?
Yeah. They've done that before. In fact, I want to say they did that with the core box. I think in the core set they actually did that, where they didn't quite give you. I think it was the stormtroopers or maybe the officers.
Huh.
They gave you slightly less.
I'll have to go back and take a look then, because I was just kind of like, wait, what? Where's the miniatures? And it's a weird set, too, because you've got the Wing Guard, who are treated as mercenary, as opposed to treated as a hero or anything, but the assumption is that Bespin's been taken over by the Empire. This is after the Empire Strikes Back. So you've got, wow, that was a long-distance kill right there. So you've got your Wing Guard. You have 6 miniatures for them. And you've got... it's like Ugnaught something, Ugnaught Saboteur, Ugnaught Technician something, but you've got 3 different really ugly little Ugnaught miniatures, and then you've got a couple. You've got I'm trying to think of who else you even have in there. You've got Agent Blaze, but he's a token. He's
right.
a Imperial, he's an ISB guy wearing scout armor. You got Lando Calrissian, but he's a token. You got Bosk, but he's a token. And you got a couple of new hero characters. One that's a Jedi, presumably, and one that's this Ithorian guy. But I found it interesting. It just has an odd set of miniatures in terms of none of them really scream, oh, this one is, fell into the fire. One of these is totally awesome.
Right.
And the other thing that struck me with this wave that I found curious, we could talk about it in more detail, I'm sure, on the show, is, wow, we got everybody's like back here doing these long-distance things. You're using your T-21B, aren't you there, son?
Yeah.
Almost went into the fire again. Awesome. But no, you've got, with every other expansion, with the core set originally, with the Twin Shadows expansion, and with the Return to Hoth expansion, what they did was basically, here's a box set, here's most of the characters, except some of the ones you're probably really going to want to play with, like Han Solo. And instead, here's a deployment card for them and a token. And that lets you play as them, but if you want to play with the miniature, pick up the Ally Pack. But don't worry, the Ally Pack for your money is also going to be giving you, extra, command cards, skirmish missions, whatever. And every single time, that's what they've done when they've released a box set. So it's basically one challenge completed. Like one wave, so to speak, one regular wave is one big expansion plus that. Plus just the ones that replace the tokens. And then every once in a while, and it's been pretty rare, they'll be like, hey, here's just a random wave of little expansions, little ally or villain packs that don't tie into any big set at all, like Wookiee Warriors. Okay, awesome.
Right.
So it's either repeating something that's in a pack or in an expansion, or it's completely independent. This time they did a weird hybrid thing, because this wave has Bespin Gambit, the wave has Lando Calrissian, Bosk, and Agent Blaze, who are all in there as tokens, but then it's got ISB Infiltrators, and ISB Infiltrators isn't in Bespin Gambit. It's 2 miniatures, plus all their cards and everything else, and when you look at the instructions, the little guide that comes with it with the maps and everything, it says, if you're going to insert this into a campaign, you're inserting it into Bespin Gambit, and here is how. And it's entirely focused on integrating with Bespin Gambit rather than any other set, unless you're playing Skirmish. But they're not represented by tokens anywhere within that core of this. Oh, that was dumb. I just switched out my thermal imploder for something else. They're not represented by tokens at all within the box set. And that struck me as odd. They've never done that before, and it makes me wonder: is this something
Yeah,
where
that
they
is
were
kinda
planning
strange.
on it being in a box, and they just didn't? Are they changing things
it's not
up,
like
and they're going to do this like this more? I don't know. What do you think? I mean, that's having expansion that's not represented in the set, but that is meant to be used with that set and nothing else campaign-wise. I mean, what do you think? Is that a good idea?
I mean, it's odd, but only because we're used to the other way. I don't think that it's. I mean, to me, I don't think it's a problem. I think that those sets are so cheap that if that's something you want to do, just buy the set. That's just my feelings on it.
And would you argue that if you're going to sell something like that, that technically is meant to be played within, a particular expansion rather than the core game itself, and I just completely threw myself into a bunch of molten rocks or something, would you argue that they need to make sure that the packaging has a label or something that says in order to use this you need Bespin Gambit, not just the core set?
No, because that could then turn around and get confusing for campaign, or not for campaign, but skirmish. Since the game there's two different ways to play the game. I think that it would essentially just be best just to let it be. Cool.
Well, basically what I found is that and I'd have to look at the packaging again, but I know that as soon as you bust out the little sheet that lays out, how to set up the maps, all of those immediately tell you, hey, you need Bespin Gambit for this. I don't recall it on the packaging itself. But just, I don't know, it's they're getting to the point where it's large enough that they can start kind of playing around with the tried and true formulas, and it's odd to see it. And I gotta be honest with you, I didn't expect Imperial Assault to be this far along, or for X-Wing to be on like its second core set and almost like a version 2.0 to some extent, and yet have Armada. I mean, Armada like barely gets any attention. Now it's like Armada barely exists, which is mind-blowing to me. It had so much potential.
Not very popular. Right. Yeah, it's just I think because of the price point, and then also because of the I guess price point, and then also just I guess some other things, be it people who don't really understand that there's a distinct difference between that and X-Wing. I don't know if it's just that because everyone's been playing X-Wing already, that they just say, okay, well, I know everybody plays X-Wing, I'll get into that instead. It's a thing where basically the popularity of one game causes the other game to kind of be overlooked.
They call that the substitute effect in economics. Oh yeah, busting out the education.
Yeah, it's like I said, just to me, I kind of wonder if it's not that, basically just where, even though it's not really the same, people deem it to be enough of the same that it gets overlooked. And it also doesn't have, that much stuff out right now, anyways. I mean,
which is like, and isn't that kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy? If part of the reason why people aren't playing is because there's not as much out, but since there's not as much out, they're focusing on the other games, so Armada doesn't get much,
Right. Yeah, I think it's just sort of the formula at the moment. It's two. Because I have kind of wondered how they're going to continue to do this, because it's with X-Wing. There's so many medium and small ships that you can just keep pumping ships out, but excuse me, Armada. Sure, you can. What you're going to end up doing is having a lot of pizza-shaped ships for the Empire.
Yeah.
That you're going to kind of go, okay, wait, which one is this one? Is this, because even I get mistaken on the Victory and the Imperial class Star Destroyers, and it's like, and then you start adding more of those, then that it can. I think it might end up getting confusing. Whereas,
this is true.
With the Rebels, you don't have a huge ship base to really pull from, because they've not, they've been more about fighter squadrons than they have been about larger ships. So that I think is going to be kind of hard. I think Rebels bringing in the Hammerhead is going to help them a lot. That's a ship that they'll be able to pull from.
Mm-hmm.
But past that, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to have to pull from down the road.
I hear it. And hello in the chat. Sans has joined us. Sans the man. I don't know. Now, remind me again, I should know this because I did the video stuff with it, but the core set for Armada, isn't that one of those $100 packages?
Yes.
Whereas getting into X-Wing, a core set's like $40, basically, unless you can find it cheaper, but $40 retail.
Right.
There you go.
Like I said, that's another thing too. The price point. You could essentially buy 2 starter boxes of X-Wing and an expansion for what you could get just 1 starter box of Armada.
Right. And that's unfortunate. I actually haven't had a chance really to play Armada beyond playing around with some of just testing out different scenarios. And I actually forget most of the mechanics at this point because it's just, it just doesn't lend itself as quickly to, hey, let's just bust it out and play it at this point. But hey, it's nice to know that it's only in 1 tackle box in my back room, whereas X-Wing is now in 3. Yeah. X-Wing is now in 3 big ass. I'm gonna grab the one that I just purchased so people can see what I mean by the size of the tackle box.
All right.
And I know you say I need a better system. I know a better system.
So, you know how I told you I had 13? I needed 2 more kills with a targeting rifle?
Uh-oh.
Now I need 5 more. I'm actually going down.
Yes, that's what happened to me. It kept going back and forth, and then just in the middle of a match, it just popped. It's like, oh, okay. But yeah, folks,
really
so
frustrating.
What I just showed you, that is a Plano 732 tackle box. I use those for all of my Star Wars FFG miniature-based games, with the exception of Rebellion. Since it's a game that kind of stands alone, I've got that in a different type of container, box, whatever. But yeah, I'm at the point where my X-Wing stuff, since I've gotten 1 of every item as they've been coming out, except for those, like the dial holders. What the hell was that? Lag? At this point, I've got 3 of them. 1 for Scum and Villainy, 1 for the Rebels, 1 for the Imperials. And then I've got 1 of those big-ass tackle boxes for Armada right now. And I just picked up my 2nd one for Imperial Assault. Plus, Imperial Assault has a smaller tackle box that I use to hold all the map tiles. So, yeah, space is becoming an issue. Certainly at a premium at this point. But I love keeping them separate. I don't want to mix. Even though Agent Blaze and the ISB infiltrators are all ISB agents, I don't want to put them in the same little slot. And that is where they sell tackle boxes to non-fishermen.
I think at this point you would be, because like I said, since you don't have, since you don't actually carry your stuff around, craft foam, or not craft foam, but foam would probably help you a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And also, just trying to find you some boxes that you could layer the foam on, because you can still get a ton of those.
Oh yeah.
In each one.
Yeah, I'm tempted to get a at some point. Just look for a very customizable one of those large rolling tool things, and just sort of plant one of those in the corner of one of the rooms at the new place. Which, by the way, for those who've been following that freaking saga, we did not close on the house on Friday because one of the sellers was an asshat and left town until the day after the closing was supposed to happen and didn't bother to give his partner power of attorney. So instead of closing on Friday and moving a bunch of stuff over Memorial Day weekend, we're sitting here twiddling our freaking thumbs while we're waiting to find a date sometime within the next week so that we can actually close on the freaking house, which probably just cost us an extra $830 month's rent at this apartment that we're in right now. Because if we don't let them know by the 1st, and I highly doubt we're going to know by the 1st what our closing date is, if we don't... See, I'm locked into 9num. I couldn't choose. Then I'm kind of... We're stuck with an extra month's rent. If we don't let them know by June 1st, we're going to be out on June 31st. It doesn't matter when you give it to them in the month of June. You're stuck. You've got to pay July rent and then the penalty rent for breaking the lease. Alrighty, and... Have you noticed, and I've noticed this and mentioned this on the stream a couple of times, when you get a hero pickup in a mode on, particularly on the Outer Rim playlist, that it doesn't let you choose your hero. Like, I just got thrown into being 9num and had no choice. Again.
I've not been lucky enough to do that, but, I mean, at least you got 9num. That would be my choice anyways.
It would be my choice, but I don't want to be doing it by default.
Sorry?
I want it to be a choice. Dang it. I may not want to use the women's restroom, but damn it, I want to... Wait a second. No, I don't. Never mind. I don't want to be... No. Oh, did I just kill... Oh, sweet. Boba Fett killed me as I killed Boba Fett, so awesome. Compson Roberts is on with us. He must have... I'm assuming maybe he saw it on Facebook. Be nice to know that it's actually working to bring people back and forth. Hey, Compson Roberts, he says, you guys are going to have to do a crash course for the Star Wars tabletop ignorant, of which I am one, when you're on LB. Okay, now I'm going to have to know what LB is. LB?
That's Luminous Beings. That's his podcast.
Ah, okay. Oh, duh. Okay, I wasn't connecting them together. We talked about it the other day when we were talking about it on the show.
You were waiting for the other...
It just went over my head.
For the other... abbreviations.
I was like, come on, you gotta yeah. LB. Now, if you're a luminous being, if you're on luminous beings and you drive a sweet ass Mustang, does that mean that you are an LBGT? And doesn't that just get confusing whenever it comes time to use the restroom? Wow. Somewhere out there, people are like, yeah, even Michael just like, I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it. I give. And I don't know where I'm supposed to use a restroom on Cloud City Casino anymore, because I don't even think I have those parts if I'm all droid except for my head. Which could save me a lot of time because of how much time you spend in the bathroom, in a lifetime.
No!
No?
Sorry.
Did you
I
die?
activated the shield. Yes, I activated the shield, so...
okay, say I activated the thingy. And now it's letting me activate the thingy again? That was weird. And yeah, I actually, from the tabletop standpoint, I've done a demo game with like one error that everybody bitches about, but a demo game of some Imperial Assault campaign stuff on my YouTube, well, this YouTube channel, I'll say my YouTube channel, this one. And I've done a demo game of the LCG, the card game, Star Wars the card game, which is just what it's called now. And I've done a demo of the Empire versus Rebellion card game, which I actually like quite a bit. It's like blackjack meets marginal strategy. But unfortunately,
I recently bought that one, but I've not.
You haven't played it?
I recently bought that one, but I haven't played it yet.
It is cool. I really like it. It's quick to set up. It's quick to understand. There's not expansions to buy for it. I got a feeling that if it comes to playing the card game again anytime soon, my wife and I will probably play that one more so than the LCG, just because of setup time and all that kind of stuff. Because I've got the biggest possible binder you can buy for like paperwork, one of these enormous freaking binders, full of LCG cards. Because I got to the point where I wanted to put them in there so I could see them and I can just pull whichever ones I want to play with at that moment. But now it becomes just a pain in the butt to just flip through it and get the cards out. Yeah, which we talked about before. I'm just not... I want convenience factor.
Well, no, I actually have two binders for it. I have my dark side and my light side binders, and then I have a total of 6 deck boxes for... I can put two decks in each box.
Sweet.
So that's basically a total of 4 decks for myself, and then 2 decks for my wife. And that's what I suggest is, don't worry about the setup time. Just kind of figure out, like, if you know what she likes or whatever, just go online, find out what decks are pretty good that use some of the mechanics that she likes and build that deck, and then when y'all are ready to play, just let her use that deck. I always suggest with X-Wing, Armada, Imperial Assaults, all of these games, try to come up with what you think that you're gonna like and play the hell out of it.
Gotcha.
Because that's how you get better at everything, because all the game mechanics are different, and so that's that's like how with Tranny Train, I played that thing for months and months.
Okay, again, Tranny Train is not him being offensive. Tranny Train is what he calls his 3 Trandoshan Houndstooth X-Wing setup. I have to clarify that every time, because you know what people are gonna think. I'm just saying. I totally agree. I know exactly what my wife likes. Unfortunately, none of it has to do with gaming. Oh no. It's interesting though, because as far as the game types, she is much more into. Oops, that was one of my guys. She's much more, I think, into again, sort of the fast, get in, kick its butt, and get out kind of games. Just playing a regular game of X-Wing to her takes way too long, to the point where she got to she just started suiciding her ships off the edge of the board when we first started playing X-Wing. So I think something like Empire versus Rebellion is going to be terrific for her to play, because it is something very straightforward, or something that you can sort of set up and come back to. I'm hoping at some point, once the move is complete, to figure out a place in the home, maybe even in the main room, like the living room, to get one of those pre-made gaming tables that has all the drawers and stuff in it. And because I've seen a couple of those where you have the ability basically to put like a lid, you can sort of lower down the playing surface and put a lid on top of it, and your entire gaming scenario is essentially saved for your next sitting without having to worry about, for instance, cats jumping on it like we would. But I don't know. I'm looking. There's so much that we need to deal with as far as buying things like, a refrigerator, a washer, a dryer, that at this point, that the idea of a gaming table is kind of way down the line. Right now, we'll just use our dining room table and my horribly painted custom X-Wing play surface that I made. That I made with spray paint, tape, and a lot of frustration. And there we go. So Compton Roberts has a YouTube notification set up so that when I'm streaming, he can spot it. That's what it is.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So, what I would suggest for X-Wing now, is it because when she says it's taking too long, is it because like you guys are having a hard time actually rounds? Are there several rounds where you're not firing at each other? Or
possibly. It's been a long time since she actually wanted to play any of the X-Wing game. And this was when we were first playing. We tried it out early on, and it was basically I'm trying to remember. It may have just been that we were playing with a core set, and I think it just the maneuvering and the time to get in good firing position on each other was part of the issue. Whereas when I played with, I call him my brother, one of my best friends who lives back home, who lived with me for a while. So my brother in every sense but biological. When he and I would play, we played some of the scenarios that came with the Tantive 4 expansion. I think is what it was. And we played some of those, and we were just burning through them. But it's because we both kind of knew what we were doing. But also, we had enough ships on both sides that even if there's, maybe one ship that still needs to move into a good firing position, the other ones can do something. But if you're playing with, 2 TIE fighters and an X-Wing, and you're not in a position to really go after each other, you've got some repetitive turns going on that make it drag.
That's what I would suggest. I would say for her, probably a good ship to set her up with and let her keep using would be the YT 2400. Let her use
the
Dash
24.
Rendar.
I was expecting you to say the 1300 as opposed to the 24. Why the Outrider instead of the Falcon?
Specifically, Dash Rendar, he ignores. He basically ignores obstacles for movement, which means that even if she accidentally flies on a rock, she can then just turn around and do barrel roll off of the rock, and she doesn't have to suffer any of the effects. effects.
Which is interesting because when we tried to play, when she was playing with me the one or two times she actually was like, yeah, let's try this. We weren't even playing with the obstacles because we were playing with the original core set on like the starter stuff, and the initial scenario, and I think even maybe the game itself didn't require obstacles as part of the setup in that original rulebook, or at least for the initial scenario to teach everybody. So we never even were using obstacles, and yet, and which on the one hand is, you know, less complex and kind of and easier, but on the other hand, it does also make the playing field a lot more boring because it's basically just the ships moving around to try to get at each other. So from a visual standpoint, it's not as stimulating.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it can be brutal at first, but I would say start using those obstacles because that's going to be your biggest learning curve, is getting used to flying around those things and not smashing into them. But like I said, I think that one's good because of that, but also it's going to take up a lot more points. She doesn't have as many ships to she's got to, you know, be concerned with.
Right.
So that'll take less time and it'll be less stress for trying to set dials. It's going to have good, you know, it's got a good big tank of health, and also throw the Outrider title on it and throw the heavy laser cannon so she can start throwing 4 dice instead of just 3.
Oh, nice. Nice. Now, I will say, it's kind of the description here makes it sound as though I'm like, well, she just doesn't want to play anything. No, we love playing the deck building games. I just ran up to Luke as if he was on my team. I was like, oops. I mean, she loves the deck building game, so we'll play, you know, Ascension quite a bit, the DC deck building game, although when we did play the Forever Evil deck building game set, that sucker took forever. So we probably will not ever play that set against each other again. But the Teen Titans set, even the newest stuff coming out from Ascension, like Dreamscape, she loves those. But a lot of it comes down to, it's not about, you know, what's my strategy to start with. It's, I'm going to build up my deck as I play, so, you know, does it really matter? Does it really matter how we start? I'm still drawing cards as we go. I'm actually going to be, from that brother of mine, I'm going to be picking up the Marvel Legendary deck building game for kind of the same reason, that it's a little more complex. It's got some different mechanics, but it's still, you know, very, very teeny tiny setup time. And strategy and pre-game strategizing, because you never quite know what cards are going to come out. So you can do some strategizing, but to an extent that's a lot of on-the-fly strategizing. Like, hey, I've got this character. I'm gonna, son of a bitch. Hey, Jaxa, and yes, I walk. I'm at a doorway. In comes Nine Nub, not paying attention. I start shooting at him and barely get any damage, and Nine Nub backs off and runs away, and I'm like, oh, he ran away from me. And then I hear, I'm like, shit. Boom! Yes, he dropped his little, whatchamacallit, his little proximity mine. The bastard.
His load.
He dropped his load.
That's what you do with him. I mean, Nine Num, if you're not playing Nine Num as hit and run, you're not playing him right.
Oh, yeah. I tend to play Nine Num with the proximity mine being like the afterthought, though, because in a lot of ways, I don't tend to use proximity mines normally unless it's to basically help. And I just got a proximity bomb. Funny. Unless I'm trying to basically set it up so that if somebody's trying to activate, you know, a cargo or something, they're going to get blown the hell up, and that's going to give my team a little bit more time to defend it. I don't tend to think about dumping him.
And the thing is with those, you can drop them in lots of places where they're useful. You know, especially like if you're running around a door, they're not going to see that. They're going to be running around and then go, ah, shit. You know.
True.
I get a lot of kills with prox mines because people just don't see them.
Oh, got killed. Or maybe I didn't get killed. It was by someone named Thunderstruck and some numbers, so I guess I got Thunderstruck! Or something like that.
See what you did there.
Yeah, I think everybody saw what I did there because it was so incredibly obvious and lame. But obvious and lame is the name of the game sometimes, bro. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Firing on that infantry turret slowly but surely as it turns towards you, and you're wondering, will I get it first? Will it get me first? Answer,
Speaking
oh,
of,
it got me, of
cross
course.
mines,
Yep. Oh! Oh, smoked by Thunderstruck again. But yeah, it's all right. We're doing fine. Anyway. Not quite as obvious, but still just as lame a Thunderstruck reference. Oh! How in the shit? Okay, I want to see where this guy was standing. I want to walk inside here and see where he was standing. There was a guy who seems to be just inside of a door standing on, like, a grating up by the ceiling who blasted me from above.
He just got me too. Yeah.
Nice.
Some cheese dickery
Now,
right there.
sir, you've just taught me about your hiding spot. Like, there's a hiding spot on one of the maps in Destiny that's a total, you know, it's obvious when you first get killed by it, you're like, oh, duh. But it's such a dick hiding spot to be. I think I'm going to have to start using it, because if somebody's going to do that to me, I then see perfect. It's perfectly fine for me to do it.
Be me.
Exactly. It's like, you know, if you're driving along in traffic just fine in Atlanta, and somebody, you know, you see somebody cutting somebody else off, you're like, you're such an asshole. But then they cut you off, you're like, oh, hell no. And then you're cutting people off like you're a friggin' speed racer. Because it's the principle of the thing. Oh, well, you know, I'm a Yankee being deposited into the Atlanta area, so I don't have to have them southern manners if I don't want to. Oh!
That's pretty much everyone in the...
yeah, that's true. Pretty much everybody in
Atlanta
Atlanta
area.
is dropped in from somewhere. See, so Compton
like
Roberts...
Nobody's actually from Florida.
Hey, Logan. Jumping into the chat here, and Compton Roberts says, so I'm halfway through Bloodline, and it's bugging me because I don't know if I missed it. Do we know which world Leia represents? From what I understand, and this is something I forget where I saw it. This may be a Pablo Hidalgo clarifying on Twitter kind of thing.
Pablo tweeted this.
Oh, Pablo did. Okay, so yeah, it's like she
if you're gonna say what I heard,
that she's representing almost like a diaspora thing. Like she represents. It's like a refugee community almost, and it's and you can represent a sector as opposed to representing a planet, and therefore anybody who's still native to that sector would still need you as a representative. What did Pablo put out? That's the last that I had heard.
Yeah, he said that basically Alderaan isn't just a planet, but there's the system, so she's actually the senator for that system.
Oh, okay. There you go. So it'd be like saying, you know, if several states get blown off the map by nuclear bombs, you'd still have a president of the United States. You may still have someone who's the representative for a certain, you know, federal court district, even if part of it got blown all to hell. Gotcha. Yeah, that analogy sounded much better in my head before I said it.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, it's like if you are from California and California gets blown up, you can still represent the United States in the UN. Right,
which is different, I guess, than the way that we had sort of like the mental image of this whole thing for a was this idea of like a diaspora, in a sense that's like, say, when Israel didn't exist as a country, you had the Jewish diaspora or the Israeli diaspora, and then eventually there became a country again. And you have this sort of question of, well, could you be a senator representing a people rather than a place? But this seems to imply that it's not about the people, it's about the place, even though part of the place is gone, which I think is a different perspective than most people were expecting them to take. Let's see. Anakin, hello. Anakin Fan 8. Ahsoka is boss because I upgraded her. I have no idea what that means.
But cool.
Upgraded how? I mean, nifty with Ahsoka. I grew to like the character, though I hated her in the first 2.5 seasons. And then
she never bothered me.
Ahsoka it was the fact that she was. There was a lot of stuff early on about Ahsoka that bugged me. From a continuity standpoint, it was the fact that, you know, here's somebody who didn't exist before, and it's fucking up my continuity I mean, because if you read the books and the comics from like 2002 to 2008, the Clone Wars era was the most meticulously planned era in the entire continuity. They had stories designed as, okay, this takes place a week after this, a month after this, and it was all planned out more so than any other era had been. And then they're like, yeah, and here's this, and now Anakin's a knight, and here's this Padawan you never heard of, George Lucas turning around and dropping a wrecking ball-sized turd. But initially, there was that. There was the Sky Guy Snips crap. And the fact that she didn't act like... She acted very know-it-all, and she acted like a character... Her portrayal was odd, in that, you know, here's this Padawan, but because she's a girl and going to be a focal character, she doesn't actually have to dress like any of the other Padawans. She can run around in, you know, like I think it was a tube top or whatever it's called, and a mini skirt all the time at age 14, and that's fine. And it's just kind of like all these little things that grated. But then after a while, you get to see her as a character and see her actual character development, and the things that she goes through, and that I think made it a better character. Let's see. There you go. Cops and Robert says, yeah, so basically like Leia's like the mayor of Detroit. Zing! Poor Detroit. Poor Detroit, but yeah. How them policies working out for you? Let's see. Adam, hello, says, have you read Bloodline yet, and what do you think? And then Jackson Smith,
I've only read half, so no spoilers.
Come on to that I think that the position was honorary. Okay, so Adam, I actually liked it quite a bit. I think it may be the first, no, not the first. It's probably the second must-read novel of the new canon. Most of them can be easily ignored. This one has a lot of impact, I would say. The other one, I would say, if you're a fan of the Clone Wars, would be Dark Disciple, because you get a conclusion to the story arc of Asajj Ventress and all the things that she went through. I like it. I like the characters it introduces. I like the politics of the galaxy at the time, and it's intriguing to me that apparently the whole idea of factions of centrist versus populist is actually something that the director of Episode 8 wanted to make sure was in there, so it must play a role in Episode 8. I think the revelations in it, from the galactic standpoint, are interesting to see play out, given that it's been so long since Return of the Jedi. And at the same time, some of the revelations we had as to the state of the galaxy and the state of the characters and certain things we thought might have happened already, like at Luke's Jedi Academy, that hadn't yet, had me sort of scratching my head in that in that sense, it seemed like it was, you know, something should have already happened that hadn't, as opposed to the big revelation to the galaxy in the book that's something that seems like it should have happened but hadn't.
Yeah.
Like, in the different eras.
Yeah,
but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think Claudia Gray rocked it again.
Yeah, I actually missed that little forward at the beginning that says it's over 2 decades after the Battle of Endor.
Mm-hmm.
And then me reading, you know, where I am now, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's like 6 years before The Force Awakens. That's it.
Oh, wow. Did they go into detail of saying that, or how did you know
that was I think clarified by Pablo or by Jennifer Heddle or someone who was involved. It's actually clarified before the book even came out that it's 6 years prior to, which is why everybody's like, what? Wow. Because I'd say this is a mild spoiler, but it's a background thing. I mean, Luke and Ben are still apparently out there training together. He hasn't become Kylo Ren. Right. Shit hasn't gone down at the Academy. Leia and Han are therefore still together, and I'm like, I had the impression that there had been a much longer period of that stuff having happened prior to the events of The Force Awakens, but apparently not. Harold Gyro,
unless he already has turned, but Leia doesn't know because
they are out of contact.
Luke keeps Ferris Buellering her.
Yeah, he's kind of out of contact at this point. Let's see. And Anakin, I can switch. When I'm doing the stream, honestly, I just run around and just grab whatever, unless there's an actual purpose to what I'm doing. And at this point, there's not, because I'm just grinding my way to 60. to rank 60. I've done all the hut contracts. There's nothing left for me to do but grind my way to 60 and upgrade the last 13 star cards and then start on the stupid emotes and stuff. But I can. I mean, I can switch and mess with them instead of using this one. I tend to like this one just because I like the stream of blasts, but I tend to like auto rifles in games like Destiny. Let's see. Cops and Robert says, I think my favorite part so far is Leia's relationship to Vader and how OT compares to Luke's. Oh, how it compares to Luke's. Like Leia's relationship or perception of Vader versus Luke's. And what's the other one he was saying? The 18. Okay, I'll just switch between these two. I mean, I don't care what I shoot with. Yeah. I don't want to. I don't want to spoil things for Michael, so I can't really say what I want to say. Have they revealed yet whether Leia's parentage has ever been explained to her son yet?
Yes. Yeah. That's
okay.
She said that. Yeah, she has said that no. She basically is like, I hope Luke tells him.
Right, and that boggles my mind. I guess I sort of understand the whole idea of, like, we're going to sort of keep this a secret, but the idea of it being, it's like, you remember how traumatic that was for Luke, and Luke was like, and that's not true, that's impossible, and talk about setting the seeds of him possibly going dark or something. So let's take Ben, and let's just not tell him either. Let's just play around with this, this time bomb of information as much as possible until finally it blows up in our face. So yeah, that was the thing that kind of struck me. It was wait, Ben doesn't know yet? So I'm going to tell you a cautionary tale about what happens when you go to the dark side.
As far as they know.
I just really hope that Luke wasn't feeding Ben the same line of bullshit that Obi-Wan fed him when he was 19. He betrayed and murdered your grandfather.
He's like, you're gonna learn the Force the same way I do.
By hard knocks, and then I'm gonna cut off your hand because I'm your daddy. Well, not really. I'm your uncle, but your daddy isn't gonna cut off your hand because he's off apparently swoop racing and stuff. So yeah.
I thought he was doing
or not swoop racing, like
ship racing.
Like ship racing, yeah. Because that's where what's her name plays into the mix and winds up at getting her little short story. Greer Sonnell, yeah.
Greer.
Cardboard. Why? You think she has no personality?
She has more personality than Joff.
That's true. She has more personality than Joff, which is kind of like saying that you have more personal integrity in sexual matters than Bill Clinton. So, hey. Wait a second.
Yeah,
You're taking relationship advice from O.J. Simpson. Awesome. But yes, I would say that those two are kind of... they have personality, but they're not the key. My favorite character at it has to be... And he's the one who, of course, gets the most attention outside of Leia's Ransom Casterfo. I think he is fantastic. I want them to
I really like him as well.
Find a way to bring him into the films in one way or another. He's a fantastic character. Now, as I said, one way or another, because that way I can leave it up in the air whether he lives or dies, so that you can be like, son of a... whether he does or not. Hey, droid! Hey, droid, mother... Come on! Gonk this, you son of a... There we go. There we go. People are shooting the gonk droid instead of shooting me. I haven't quite figured out how that works. There we go. Yeah, OJ and Clinton, they're gonna be like your classic 90s reference stuff. When I was I'm still a fan, but when I was a huge fan of Dennis Miller's stuff back in the 90s when he had his own TV show on HBO, it was always Clinton and OJ. He used to work in at least one joke. Oh, wow, I wasn't barely paying attention. We lost, and I still was the top player of the match. Shows how much we sucked. He would end jokes with, you're a bad, bad man, OJ. Bad as they come. And just move on to something else. But he would say it every single time. Poor OJ. I can't believe that they don't allow people mirrors in prison or in mansions. I mean, he did say that he was going to spend the rest of his life looking for the real killer, and apparently that must mean that there are no mirrors around. Just saying. Let's see. Speaking of which, by the way, if you're interested in like a really good book about that case, looking back on it, Vincent Bugliosi, the guy that prosecuted, I think it was the Manson trial or something, but Vincent Bugliosi has a great book called Outrage. You can tell immediately like what his perspective is, but it's less about like what the defense did right and more about how the prosecution completely botched the crap out of the case. Would you like to jump to something other than Outer Rim, sir? Because we've kind of been on Outer Rim for like an hour.
You feel like, man?
Let's do it after this extraction match, I guess. Let's see. Thank Claudia Gray on Twitter for finally giving me a Star Wars character to relate to because of the obsession with pie, I believe is what I'm seeing. I'm looking at two back-to-back. Let's see. Anakin says, so sorry if this question's been asked before, but who do you think is the best hero or villain in the game so far? And then we have a question from Jackson to make sure I'm not missing this. Favorite Star Wars podcast other than those that I'm involved in or that we're involved in. Okay, so Anakin's question about best hero or villain character in the game so far. For the Imperials, I'm partial to Vader. For the Rebels, I actually think it's Nine Numb. I like the versatility, but I tend to like Vader still over Greedo. Michael, how about you?
I think I like. I think I'm gonna go with. Ooh, it's kind of hard. You know what? I'm gonna go with Boba Fett and Nine Numb.
Nice. I do like Boba Fett.
Between Greedo and,
I don't like Fett. So why Fett rather than Vader? Do you like just the versatility or?
So I'm not a big fan of his flamethrower. Actually, to me that's pretty much useless. But
yeah, true.
The jetpack and just being able to just blast the hell out of people, in the rocket is pretty nice. He's pretty deadly with his just regular shot. His rocket shot is awesome, and being able just to fly with an almost unlimited jetpack like that really makes you powerful.
Yeah, I do love the flying. Let's see. So the other question was a favorite podcast other than those that we're involved in. I got to be honest with you. It's been a long time since I've had a chance to really spend time listening to Star Wars podcasts that I'm not involved in. I would say Star Wars Action News is always up there. I've contributed to the show in the past, but the fact that they're able to produce such a quality thing with a depth of knowledge, it kind of like, just like I try to be like the guy when it comes to being able to do like the continuity discussion and the chronological discussion and all that. In a lot of ways, they do that and do it better when it comes to the collecting side, which is why I'm very glad that by my presence and not being a big collector, we wound up with the focus of Cloud City Casino being so much more on gaming lately, because I feel like it's like you're always playing up against Jordan if you're doing anything about Star Wars collecting, because they've done it for so many years and they've got so many different companies that are like constantly sending them the information. It's just like, wow, like how do I balance this? I would say, like I said, it's been a long time since I've really listened to many. I was a big fan of like Andrew Bettis's In the Beginning, but that was years ago. Robbie Chastain, Star Wars and Beyond, but that was years ago. I would say that I put it this way: Star Wars podcasts, no. But I love the History of Rome podcast, and I tend to listen to that a lot, even though that has nothing to do with Star Wars. If I'm going to listen to a podcast, it's usually not Star Wars anymore. It's that, or for a while there, I was listening to Destiny the Show a lot, which was the Destiny podcast that I actually liked better than Guardian Radio. Michael, how about you?
So, one of my favorite podcasts lately has been Brews and Blasters, which I know Joey Tavano, who's one of the guys over there on that, he actually writes for Star Wars Report from time to time, I believe. And then also, I really like pretty much anything from the Golaverse, which is Geek Out Loud. He has his Geek Out Loud show. He has Mark Out Loud, which is wrestling. He has Rock Out Loud, which is, does more 80s type music. Let's see, I'm trying to think. He's got so many. He has this Big Honkin' Show, which is like a special format that he has. I'm trying to think of everything. Yeah, those are some good ones. I mean, I actually listen to a ton of podcasts, so there are several others I listen to as well. Twin Suns Transmission. I listen, of course, everything on our network.
Yeah. I would love to. I just don't have the time. I listen to too much talk radio.
I drive for my job, so.
Hey, I drive for my job, and it can be up to like an hour commute. It's just that I only have to do it once every couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, my job is driving, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, still. No, I think that actually, and this is something I actually proposed to Riley at one point, but we weren't sure how you do it without really going nuts, which is funny because now Riley's also doing like a political-based podcast, was to have like some kind of show that's like half Star Wars content and half anything goes discussion on something else, but it has to be something with relevance. It needs to be something that's not just yet another pop cultural thing necessarily, or at least not every time. And that there would be some kind of challenge within the show for someone to, for the people who are involved in it to find ways to connect Star Wars into whatever that discussion is. So like, maybe it's half an hour with a locked amount of time on a particular Star Wars topic, and then okay, here's a half an hour locked amount of time about the 2016 presidential race, and then as you're doing that discussion, people are trying to like bring in references to Bloodline and stuff like that to try to find ways to link things together, like the idea of a populist party relative to what a populist stance means in American politics, and the way that Trump and Sanders are basically playing the populist edge, that kind of thing. But I think that's one of those ones that it's such an odd format that you'd have to have exactly the right team to really do it, and we would have wanted to have people kind of rotating in and out, which is always a nightmare. One of the first podcasts that I ever worked on was Other Voices, which was supposed to be like a news magazine thing that I would edit, but we'd have a different host every time. We'd have a different we'd have people doing different segments that they submit every single time, put together almost like a Dateline NBC kind of thing back then, before that show became nothing but true crime and scandals. And it was trying to give a voice to people who didn't already have their own podcasts, but were a part of the community and listening all the time, right? Other voices. The end result, though, was that there was a reason why most of these people didn't have podcasts, because they didn't have the time to actually, to actually produce something. And holy shit, I invoked Andrew Bettis' Star Wars in the Beginning a moment ago as one of the podcasts I really liked back in the day. And sure enough, Andrew Bettis shows up as a viewer. And he's done this before, but Andrew, were you listening when we just called out your show? Or is that just a complete coincidence? Because that's pretty sweet connection there, man. And welcome, Dragon Slayer, as well. Cool. Oh, killed. Shot, killed, shot in the back. Killed by a Rhodian. The Rhodian shot me first. Here, guys, have a Pro Droid. Yeah, I'm totally not paying much attention right now, but that's okay. All right, so what are we doing? Yeah, we're doing extraction. Yeah, that's it. Damn, Rhodian.
Yeah, we need to stop this.
And Andrew says, yeah, total coincidence. Yes. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, yeah, we were asked about podcasts that we like to listen to, and it's been a long time since I've had a chance to listen to many Star Wars podcasts, and I wound up mentioning some of the ones from the earlier days of Star Wars podcasting that I really tended to follow, and In the Beginning was one, which is cool. There we go. Rebels are into zone. Let's see. Comstar Rob was thinking about Star Wars version of Welcome to Night Vale, like a in-universe newscast. That'd be cool. Use that as a way to discuss, discuss some of the events in, different novels and whatnot. That'd be cool. And Dragon Slayer, my policy tends to be I'm not jumping into anyone's party or having people jump into my party while we're actually doing the whatchamacallits, while we're doing the streams. If somebody's going to be within the party, it's going to be sort of prearranged, like with Michael here. But Michael and I are already actually in the party right now. There we go. dead. Stop it! We're gonna have to hold it in this place from, like, moving 5 feet for 6 minutes. Yeah, that's gonna be possible. I've actually seen it happen, though, so I say that tongue-in-cheek, but it was a hell of a, what do they call it, a clutch? I will never understand the clutch slang term, I'm sorry. But that was apparently a clutch
I don't get it either.
moment, because we had several of us, we all were dropping, what do you call it? We were all dropping, Dioxis grenades, and it was like a death zone around that thing. I think we were all trying to do that same hut cod track, but there were Dioxis grenades going off constantly around it. It's like, man, talk about Rod of the Hut being stinky. All right, and Dragon Slayer, it is Darth underscore
what I didn't
Soul.
like from...
There you go. Say that now.
I said, you want to talk about what I didn't like from the Clone Wars?
What was that?
Rada was stinky. I thought that was...
Yeah, stinky, stinky, Sky Guy, R2-y.
See, like
Goldie,
stuff
a gold droid for gold leader of Gold Squadron. And you're just sitting back going, yeah, we got it the first time, shut the... It's all right. It's all right. But that's the thing. It's kind of, to me, Ahsoka Tano is like Jar Jar Binks, and hear me out on this. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. You needed Ahsoka to be very inexperienced and kind of a pain in the butt, and someone that people, in a sense, were irritated by, to emphasize her youth when first introduced. They could have done it differently and probably better, but that said, that then allows her to really develop and become a stronger character, and you can see how far she's come when you finally get to seeing her in The Wrong Jedi as she leaves the Clone Wars, and when she shows up as Fulcrum in Rebels, and presumably we'll see more of that development from those two time points in that new Ahsoka novel that's coming. And I think in the sense that makes her a lot like Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks shouldn't have been doing the poop humor, because that's stupid. Not sure Jar Jar Binks needed to be kicked in the crotch by a pit droid. That's stupid. But to have him be the fool, the goofball, the innocent dumbass, is necessary to heighten the tension and heighten the sense of tragic oh-my-godness when he gets manipulated into giving the emergency powers to Palpatine in Episode 2. That you sort of have, in his case, not much of a development, but it emphasizes the tragic nature of it. So in both cases, I think they were set up in a way, I'm going to jump out to a different mode here, set up in a way that allowed their later characterization and actions to be heightened in importance or in dramatic nature because of how they started. Let's see. Okay. And I'll come back to something that Anakin said here in just a second. You were saying, Michael, we were saying something else relating to, because as soon as I started talking Jar Jar and Ahsoka, I heard you go, what was that? Or would you just try not to poop?
I was mostly just being, no, definitely wasn't trying not to poop.
Caught him off guard.
No, I don't even remember now. I feel like I said, she never bothered me at all, and I never even saw her as a Jar Jar type character, even like that. The one thing
I mean, not as bad as Jar Jar. I just mean a character that starts at one point and and specifically develops to that other point for a reason. Are you jumping into Supremacy on Survivors of Endor now? I didn't see your name pop up.
Well, see, but I would argue that Jar Jar never really developed, though.
Yeah, he doesn't really develop, but it's that he exists in one way to serve the situation later. Are you? I didn't see your name pop up. Are you going to Supremacy on Survivors of Endor, or do I need to back out?
Hold on. See if it's letting me. Yeah, I'm in there.
Oh, okay, cool.
Cool. But just past that, though, I think that one thing that she does really well is you get a better sense of, like, okay, here's why Anakin is what he is in Revenge of the Sith versus in Attack of the Clones, where Attack of the Clones, he is very much like this whiny Padawan, and you're like, really? They're putting him all the way up here and stuff or whatever, but you actually can see, sort
some
of his
development
deeds or whatever Right, right. And so you're like, okay, well that makes sense, and it. I don't know. I think it fleshes it out a lot more, and it adds a lot more to it.
And that kind of goes with what Anakin Fan here just said, which is that one of the things that Clone Wars nailed was character development. And I would have to say that I kind of agree. Characters. I feel like Clone Wars gave strong development to Asajj Ventress, to Ahsoka, eventually to Rex. But from a character development side of like Obi-Wan, not a lot, except for his relationship with Satine, and that's more just trying to find ways to give him a way that he can empathize with Anakin. And then I don't feel like Anakin himself got much development at all during the Clone Wars. I think you can see him. I think you can see Anakin move from Attack of the Clones to Revenge of the Sith, and there is character development that must have happened in between. I feel like Anakin, when we first meet him in Cat and Mouse in the Clone Wars, the earliest chronological episode of Clone Wars, and where we see him in the final episodes of the Clone Wars, there's little to no difference in the character and his development. That he is what he is, and it's the same way I think with Obi-Wan and Dooku and Palpatine. I think it's the nature of they're perfectly able to do real development and high stakes for characters that aren't in the films. But they set themselves up when they started that show with characters that have a set ending point, a set beginning point, and not a lot they can do in between. I mean, hell, they spent the entire time, like, of all the things to pay attention to, they're not going to pay attention to the fact that my powers have doubled since we last met count. So they're going to have Anakin frequently running into Dooku, and his power must have doubled since last week. But they're going to be ungodly anal retentive and say no, Anakin can't meet Grievous because of the joke about I thought you'd be taller. Their priorities were whack, and their limitations were many.
But the thing is that you don't. That doesn't necessarily, just because it's said doesn't necessarily make it true. Therefore, him saying my powers have doubled since last week doesn't have to be true.
Of course, but you know that when Lucas wrote that, he was referring to the idea that after 3 years, now they're meeting again, and he's so much more powerful than he was when he got his arm cut off. But of course, now that is essentially cheapened by, hey, my powers have doubled since we last met, last week. I hope I have some new tricks to show you since the ones I showed you last Tuesday.
Right, but here's the thing: is I never believed that even during that time period, I never believed that he actually that they had doubled anyways. I always assumed that as him being sort of still being arrogant like he had been prior. So
not saying that his powers actually doubled so much as it just has that arrogant, the tone of it, that that Lucas sort of set up his own reference and then Lucas destroyed his own reference. It's like, well, damn, son.
Like I said,
but he does that a lot, so it's okay.
Like I said, I don't feel like he destroyed it though, because I think that it still plays. It'll still work regardless of how long it's been. It's actually works as far as being arrogance. It actually works. The
arrogance still works, yeah.
If it's,
I don't know. I feel like it's another one of those instances where Lucas tried to reference something and then changed his mind. Like, do you remember your mother? Your real mother? I would have loved it if it was, do you remember your mother? Your real mother? And Leia would have went, whoa, my real mother, the hell are you talking about? As opposed to it being, yes,
she was just never told.
She was sad, even though I only knew her for like a matter of minutes or seconds because I was a baby and she died, and we actually don't form permanent memories at that point, so I couldn't remember her. I'm gonna go over here and play with Han now, okay? So just
but she's
I don't know, but that's a whole nother thing. Hello, Diego. So suffice to say, Clone Wars is to me it's a mixed bag, but I think that they improved along the way. Clone Wars, as it focused more on the characters they could truly develop, and you got a chance to tell like the longer feature-length almost stories in the later seasons, allowed Ahsoka to grow. Really, basically, once you hit the time jump in the middle of Season 3, I think it started to come into its own, and I think a lot of the lessons that they learned from that show are now being used to make Rebels phenomenal. Because it's not held back by the same things that were holding that back. And if you're curious about more thoughts about where they've learned from Rebels, be sure to check out a long time ago exploring the Star Wars cinematic universe from Sequart Publications, which features an article on Rebels Season 1 by yours truly, specifically about stuff like that. See, had to put in the plug because I'm told that I don't plug that book enough. There's a bunch of us that contributed to it, and I don't plug it enough. I guess because I'm waiting for the next ones. I'm like, that's my least favorite of my 3 essays, because I got one in the other 2. And those I like better. Because those aren't as time constrained as looking at something about one season of Rebels. That thankfully still holds up now that Season 2 is done. I got a smart rocket. Smart rocket. They need to make it that, like, just, I want the irony of them having a smart rocket that when you shoot it, the sound effect is derp. Right, smart rocket. Let's see, I think a skilled writer could do a Padme novel and sort out the mess that Lucas left her in. Possibly. Diego says, Han Solo was actually a big part of Star Wars because there are rumors that Han used the Force when Greedo shot him. Oh, God, no. No. Never has there been anything at all within canon or legends to ever suggest that Han is Force sensitive. Or that the Force was used to avoid Greedo's blaster shot that didn't exist until 97. Get loud. On the other hand, I'm sure that whoever came up with that theory may be one of the ones behind the everybody set up their own private servers. There was nothing untoward about what... Never mind. Back into the political humor again. And there we go. Yeah, Padme, what the heck? Okay, that was so cool. Okay, so there was a stormtrooper coming at me that was holding, I guess it was a charged up, yes, they have suggested that luck could be an extension of the Force through normal people. That is true. No, there was a guy coming at me who was a stormtrooper holding, I couldn't figure out what it was, but he had a disruptor rifle out, charged up. So as he was coming at me, he looked like a shadowy blue that was awesome looking. Kind of making me wish that we had shaders of some kind. But no, Battlefront, don't give us shaders. You already have enough stupid-ass emotes and just random heads to go with the bodies that we can't change until we get to, like, the higher levels. No, please don't give us shaders. That's the, I don't care about shaders. Yeah. This is me, as it's counting up, grabbing a drink so that I don't die. Again.
I'm so far from 34, which makes me even further from 50.
You are where now? Ladies and gentlemen,
so far from level
it's Wonder
34.
Woman on my drink. Just because Dr. Pepper didn't realize how bad the movie was going to be. So you're at 34, or you're at 33 and you're on your way to 34?
Yeah, I'm actually not that far from it, but at this slow level gain, it's still pretty far.
If there's a bright center to being 34, you're on the level that it's farthest from. No, that just wasn't good at all. So back to Supremacy again. You want to do some more Supremacy? I don't really care. I've got used 5 more power-ups and win heroes versus villains matches. And then the only other challenge I've got's a Fighter Squadron one, and I can't do that in the stream, as we saw recently, because of how badly it jerks around. Let's see. That's just the dogmatic, narrow-minded view of the Jedi. That is correct. Jedi are selfless. They only care about others. Except Anakin, who cared about others and his boner. As they say on the Everything Wrong With videos from Cinema Sins, the power of boners is strong with this one, apparently, because he basically risked everything for the woman that he apparently was like, hey, baby, when he was 9 going on 10 years old. And yes, Anakin turns 10 during the gap in which his hair is cut leading up to that final scene of The Phantom Menace. I kid you not. That's a canonical thing. I forget the exact date off the top of my head, but it is a canonical thing now. That's why he can be... That's why 10 years after being shown as 9 years old, he can be 20 instead of 19. they had to put a placement for when his birthday is and what month Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones both took place in. Which I got to find out all about when I was helping out with the Essential Atlas. But doing so allowed me to, one, get a typo in there. I think it's a date for Revenge of the Sith that there's a typo in because I missed it in an email, and then Leland Chi missed it, and Jason Fry missed it. So and Dan Wallace, I guess, missed it too. We all missed the damn thing. But it did give me a chance to set that in-universe calendar date for Jedi, at least for Legends, of coming up with like what month, what day, to settle some of those old issues of the difference in how some things said it was a year after A New Hope, some said 6 months. Turns out that basically, or not after Empire. Turns out it's more like 9 months because of when the relative dates of all kinds of other stuff were taking place. The nerddom of chronological Star Wars mathematics. Yeah.
But now it could be like 3 weeks.
Yeah, now it could be whatever they want.
It's like 4 days later.
I missed part of what was said about Anakin during the Clovis arc, but for what it's worth, I love the Clovis arc. At first I was like, oh god, Clovis is back. I'm so sick of this guy. But I love what it does to Anakin. Anakin beating the living crap out of Clovis in the Clone Wars over Padme is one of my favorite Anakin moments because it actually seems like Anakin has some character depth to him at that moment. What was your what the hell?
Apparently I just killed myself standing still.
Well, be careful with that. Don't do that.
I literally fell down dead. It says you killed yourself.
Interesting.
No way that could happen.
Let's see. So, is Luke able to sense danger? I think there's there's kind of like a sense of something wrong in the Force kind of thing. But it's a hinky thing. It's not as reliable, say, as spider sense. I got killed by somebody in an airspeeder. I want to kill people in an airspeeder. I think I still need to do that for something. No, you bastard! I want the ATS, you son of a whore! I think we were all running for it, weren't we? I saw you show up. I was like, who's the yellow guy? Yep, there he is. Let's see. Let's see. Rey has a forbidden force power.
Fantastic.
You like the Relby? I really don't.
Yes. I have murdered everyone with this thing. It's, yeah, it was definitely worth all the crap.
Wow. See, I've never really liked the Relby. But then again, you swear by the E11, and I'm not a big fan of the E11 either.
Yes, sir. That's a good old gun, boy.
This is not good old games. You can't be looking for those. Oh! Well, they're teachable moments in school. Are they marketable moments? Is that what you call them in everything else? I'm shooting at Luke from long range. Come on, you son of a Sith. Literally. And yes, Andrew hit it on the head, too, that Anakin as constantly jealous is something that Matthew Stover uses in the novelization. If you've never read the novelization of Revenge of the Sith, you're doing yourself a disservice. It is the reason why I coined the term Stover effect for when a novelization or an adaptation adds so much to an experience that it makes the original product better. I don't think I would have as much of a fandom of Revenge of the Sith that it would not be my third favorite Star Wars film, and for a while there it was my first favorite Star Wars film had it not been for that novel. And I heard a meh. Let me guess, you're going to disagree with me on that just like we disagreed about Zahn and Thrawn and all that last time, huh?
It's just, I mean, I need to get to the journals, and I'm not able to access them because I'm not a master. Make me a master.
Well, at least there's a reason for him to be annoyed about being not being a master, as opposed to it being like, that's unfair. I can't believe you. I'm not a master. You're a master, like a baiter. God, and that kind of shit. At least he's not acting like a brat, that there is an actual reason why not being a master matters to him, and it's not just about him. It's about, the saving the life of the woman that he loves.
No, I hear you. I mean, just
come on.
Don't think that I just don't feel like that in itself is enough.
But it's not. Well, it's not that in itself, though. It's everything. It's this is what it feels like to be Anakin Skywalker right now, and just adding depth to the the emotional development of the character that we don't get, because at least in the novel, when he finally drops down to his knees and says, I pledge myself to your teachings and all that, to some extent, it feels like there's some justification from earlier in the book, as opposed to in the film. It really kind of feels like he's like, oh, you're telling me this is the only way? All right, sweet. I'll be a Sith now. Right? I mean, it seems like he changes very quickly within the film itself. It feels more gradual in the novel based on the character development and emotional beats that Stover sets up. And, of course, in the novel, Padme still has her role in the delegation of 2000, so Padme isn't just barefoot, pregnant, and doing nothing and completely assassinated as a character
Instead,
in the novel.
She's boring politics.
Boring politics? Boy, you better be careful who you talking to. Then again, taxation of trade routes didn't exactly have me, at the edge of my seat at the beginning of Phantom Menace back in '99. I have become more of a political animal, I suppose. Alrighty then. But yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things that the novelizations of the prequels did fairly well, is they just kind of added a little bit here and there. But Stover's added quite a bit. It would have been nice to see more things being added for the sequel trilogy stuff with the novelization of The Force Awakens, but there really isn't a whole lot. And what we've got, there's some question as to whether or not it's going to be stuck to, even though it's supposed to all be canon, but like things dealing with Snoke's background that we learned in the novelization, which may or may not actually wind up bearing out in future installments.
I'm sure it's all true from a certain point of view.
Let's see, in the Clone Wars, the original script was that Ahsoka was a Padawan and Anakin was already Darth Vader. Then how could that possibly be a Clone Wars story unless it's set after Revenge of the Sith? Otherwise, the entire series would have to have been set during Revenge of the Sith, because he only becomes Vader during Revenge of the Sith. I don't see how that works. But an interesting thing, Compson Rama says, I would argue that the speed of Anakin's change in Revenge of the Sith is comparable to Han's change in A New Hope. Actually, if you check out one of the new novelizations that are actually designed for younger readers, and they're kind of weird, called The Princess, the Scoundrel, and the Farm Boy. I don't know if that's the one by Alexandra Bracken or not. I forget. But it's a new novelization of A New Hope that does a really good job of capturing Han's development within the story. Like, what changes his mind? When does his mind change? What are his thoughts actually versus the demeanor that he puts on a lot of the time? I found that really intriguing. All right, here we go, and up. You rebel scum! Come and get me. I laid out a proximity mine, and now he's not charging for me. You suck, sir! Now, granted, he may be dead, but he still sucks for not coming after me. Everybody walk onto the Sandcrawler. Oh, crap, it's Luke. Everybody run. Yes, the Stover effect added again. I love the Stover effect term. Once I developed it, I think once I came up with the term, I've been trying to spread it as much as possible because I think it fits it so well. I know Mark uses it as if it's like common knowledge now, and I do as if it's...
No, a lot of people actually do. I hear it a lot on podcasts.
You do hear that, really? Awesome.
Yeah, I actually hear it a lot.
Like, I had no idea that it had actually managed to spread, unless somebody else developed it, simultaneously or something, which is possible. But that's cool. Wow, I got smoked within seconds of getting into my TIE Fighter and jerking back and forth because of lag. So yeah, better not try that again. Let's see. And jump. Might as well jump. Whop, whop, whop.
We're gaining command of a control point.
Shadow Trooper jump. Wow, that's a lot of explosives. That show is a lot of kaboom boom. Anybody? Whoa! Killed. Smoked. There we go. And just like running. Not my favorite mode for to play, so I'm just kind of like running. Poor guy. We all just shot him all at once. Okay.
Everybody's trying to get to that.
I had to stand by him and do a no for the poor dead guy. Every once in a while, there's a use for these emotes. I want one where in the next one there needs to be a melee weapon of some kind. There needs to be like a bat that you can smack people with, or like the Star Wars equivalent of a crowbar, like a hydro spanner. And if you beat the hell out of somebody with it and kill them by sheer brute force, you could activate a, I claim this weapon and my place as leader of Death Watch. Not with a lightsaber or a dark saber, because that would be too on point. Something like, like a hydro spanner. And yes, like those who are watching the stream can see
like
how I'm
vibro.
jerking like mad. No, I'm not. The TIE fighter is, thanks to this connection.
Could always add like a vibro knife, kind of like what Fett has in his boot.
Could do that. Enemy locking. Missile incoming. No! There's a bastard. There's one. Up, and I just slammed myself into the ground. I'm pulling up and slam myself into the ground. My give up.
Emperor will help assure our victory over these traitors.
There we go. Again, for those who don't play Supremacy much, the way that Supremacy works is... I found it extremely confusing to start with, like what those little things meant. The little circles and what referred to what. But the idea was basically that you've got each of you on different sides of the map. The Rebels are trying to get all the way to the left. The Imperials are trying to get all the way to the right. And in essence, every time you capture a control point, it switches it so that that one and the next one that you want are the ones that can be captured. And if you lose it, then you have to basically keep pushing it back. And while you have a time limit, and whoever is the furthest... That sucked. Some poor speeder guy got killed. It's designed so that the idea is that you're pushing them back and forth across the battlefield and so on. It's also like the movements and the variations of battle on a real-life battlefield. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. All right, let's switch modes because Supremacy's killing me. Let's see. Have I seen Filoni trolling like a mofo lately? I assume you're referring to the picture that he posted. Heading into Celebration Europe, which is a little while from now, Dave Filoni, of course, behind the Clone Wars and Rebels, posted a picture with the quote, "Legends never die." Of course, there's always some truth in Legends, or whatever it is that Ahsoka says. With a little piece of a cover of a Star Wars hardback book that some fans have taken to trying to investigate to figure out, okay, what book is it? Because they do all kind of look similar once you take off the covers. And based on the color of the book, rather than the spine covering, because the spine covering was just black, and the fact that there's a little registered trademark symbol next to the Star Wars logo, they're thinking that what they're looking at is perhaps a first printing of Heir to the Empire. And there's been rumors that Thrawn would show up in Rebels. Therefore, they're seeing this as confirmation of that. But I don't think he himself has confirmed that the book in question is Heir to the Empire. It looks like it, certainly, but I don't know that many fans, I certainly haven't gone through and looked at the spines of all of their books to figure out which one he might have posted. But yeah, he's been doing that kind of trolling there, so to speak. All right. And Michael's like, yeah, okay. Oh wait, I didn't back out of it. Dang it, I need to back out. I knew something was wrong.
It could be the crystal star for all we know.
It could. It could turn out that by causing the destruction of that Sith temple in Twilight of the Apprentice Part 2, they managed to release Waru the anti-force being from his eternal confinement. No. I go some heroes versus villains. Because I still got to win 2 more of those to clear one of these challenges, and it's starting to piss me off. And he says, how about a mod where you can use your blaster to smack people in the face? Yeah. I don't know. I find it interesting that because you don't get a lot of Star Wars games that are multi-platform where there's a lot of modding going on, it seems like, at least not anymore. But I'm interested to see what kind of things modders come up with for the PC version of Battlefront that, of course, isn't compatible with what you would see on the PS4 or the Xbox One. This is a PlayStation 4, for what it's worth. Yep, I think Cops and Roberts may have it, Michael. He may have figured out what's coming.
What's up?
It's not Thrawn. It's not Mara Jade. It's not Rook. It's not Gilad Pelion. It's clone names with the double vowels. So we'll meet Kanan or Canaan, like Luke and Joros Sabaoth. And if I remember correctly in the book, didn't they figure it out by hearing it rather than seeing it written? So it's not like Joros Sabaoth the clone was purposely writing a double, not a W, but a U and then a U, a double U, or saying that about Luke. So literally they must have been saying it wrong. Like, if you're a clone, you slur words, but you only slur your own name. What?
Right. Yeah. Which brings me to my point. Thrawn Trilogy is dumb.
There are elements of it that are dumb, but I still think it's one of the better...
Pretty much...
No, we're not going to do that. We can't do it again because we sucked up half the freaking stream last time was us bitching at each other about the relative merits of, what was it, Thrawn Trilogy and Aftermath, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And we, of course, know that I won because there is no way you can win saying Aftermath is better than the Thrawn Trilogy was. It's just logically inconsistent with reality, therefore, I won it.
What?
Just saying.
No, that's not how that happened.
I'm going to be Boba Fett. Big, bad Boba Fett. Hello, Baller. I love when people are like, can I get a shout out? And it's the first time they've actually said anything in the chat. If you notice, whenever you actually say something in the chat as part of it, I tend to try to say hello to you as you're coming in, if at all possible, if I'm not focused so much that I'm missing people showing up at the chat. But folks are coming in saying it first thing. Well, you would have had I known you existed in the first place. Yes? Alright. Kills a Jedi! Let's see. Let's do a, Waka Faka Flame! Alright. What gets me all the time with Boba Fett playing as him, though, is how the control scheme changes. The fact that you don't zoom in by holding left trigger, L2, screws me up every time. I'm like, I'm gonna zoom in. Oh shit, I'm in the air. What's going on? Every time. I guess I should do a quick update as far as, just kind of moving off the Star Wars topic for a second, but to the stream topic. I did finish up Uncharted 4 recently, and I am on Chapter 19 out of 34 in my replay of Golden Abyss on the Vita. As soon as I'm finished with the Golden Abyss replay, that's probably when I'll start doing the live streaming Let's Play type stuff of the 4 console Uncharted games off of the PS4. I was hoping to do it once we moved, but since I don't know exactly when we're finally gonna close on the house, now that it got delayed, kind of like sitting there like, well, might as well. Boba Fett killed by Han Solo, and I was the only one still alive and didn't realize it because I wasn't paying attention. Damn. Rumor that Kanan was a Knight of Ren in Star Wars 8? That would assume that Kanan somehow lives, and that somewhat flies in the face of, when gone am I? The last of the Jedi will you be? But then again, they're contradicting themselves because the Force Awakens visual story guide, official visual story guide that was recently released, had something that Pablo Hidalgo had to basically take back, because on one page it says that Kylo Ren founded the Knight of Ren. On another page, it talks about him joining the Knights of Ren and becoming the leader of the Knights of Ren. And he apparently had to take back he founded the Knights of Ren thing. Because I was thinking that the Knights of Ren must be one of those mysterious dark side whatevers that, fled the known regions or whatever you want to call it, that are mentioned by crazy Twi'lek psycho boy in Aftermath. Maybe that's just me.
Cannot be allowed to continue.
Let's see. Looks like, yep, Han shot first that time. But it's because Han was shooting against a stormtrooper, and stormtroopers have notoriously horrible aim.
Well, he also was shooting against me as Greedo.
And he just shot me and killed me.
Welcome.
He just killed me. Han Solo just killed me again. Although, honestly, that would be... How awesome would that be as a power-up? If your team gets X number of kills in a row before the other team can kill X number of yours, you get a power-up for your entire team that basically... I don't know what it would do to the Rebels, but I'm assuming that, like, for the Imperials, what it could... sorry, I don't know what it would do to the Rebels, but I'm thinking that if you're the Rebels and it gets... The penalty gets slammed against the Imperials, it should force all Stormtroopers to have Stormtrooper aim. Like, all of a sudden, they can't do squat. Man, somebody just stole my kill. But that's alright. Oh, my neck. I'm dying here. 4-1. Not going to be adding a notch to the challenge with this one. Vader! I like playing as Vader.
I got Boba Fett.
Because I can choke people. Just wondering, if every time that Vader force chokes somebody, is he reminded of Padme? And if so, how screwed up does that make him?
I think no, just based off of the whole Darth Vader comics, because it's always like, anytime he remembers her, it all like screws with him and stuff. So I don't think that necessarily goes with that, but.
I'm waiting.
Maybe.
As much as they're playing it up, I'm waiting for the moment where it's like, in the comics, where it's Vader and Aphra at night aboard his Star Destroyer, and he's like, "Hey, baby, call me Annie. I will call you Padme." Aphra's been getting around. I do find it interesting that of all the different characters they've created, they sort of played around with this idea of doing, like Vader Down was a crossover. It didn't need to be a crossover because the characters are in a shared universe and cross around all the time anyway. But they did it so that the two series could interlock and maybe they can bring readers from one to another. But then, as a result of Vader Down, Aphra wound up essentially shifting, at least for one storyline, over into the Star Wars series as opposed to Darth Vader, which I thought was a particularly interesting way of doing it. To make her the one that travels.
Yeah, I don't think that she should necessarily have just stayed with that, because then it kind of just comes down to, like, why is Vader not killing her? So I like that as an idea. Honestly, I would like to see and I know this different people would feel differently about this, but I would like to see a ongoing not Darth Vader. I'm stupid. Boba Fett comic, because I would like to actually see something with him that doesn't necessarily have to tie into to the Star Wars canon per se. I mean, it can kind of go in, or not Star Wars canon, but like with the main team,
with the main series,
story that's going on there. Yeah.
Well, it could give you something with a Boba Fett story that perhaps details the rest of his training, because supposedly, according to Dave Filoni, the rest of his training comes from Cad Bane, but we never get a chance to see that anywhere. We don't get to see him in the entire period between Dark Disciple and, I guess, A New Hope, or just before, at least in canon now.
And I think we may have brought this up on the last live stream. I would love to see I would love to see them bring Mace Windu back.
Because you're of a mind to say that Mace Windu isn't dead. You're all about the Mace Windu is not dead thing.
Because it's ridiculous to believe he's dead.
Because, you know, getting blasted with electricity, having your arm cut off, and flying all those stories down.
Never seemed to bother Luke Skywalker.
Oh, well, that's all right. And it is Samuel L. Jackson.
Exactly. But I would love to see it where he essentially finds out that, you know what, he survived Order 66, and he decides to go after him.
And where's he been all this time, though? Doesn't that beg the question?
Well, then that's your story.
Then that's
you know
your
what
story.
I mean? Like, I mean, those are the things that you answer in the movie.
But look, if they can
send
send Poe Dameron after a bunch of people and have it turn out that they worship an egg, and he spends his time trying to defend the egg, they can do pretty much whatever the hell they want at this point, I think. I know you're not shooting at me, Greedo, you green son of a bitch. You green bastard. Oh, damn. Holy shit. Vader just took me out like I was nothing playing as 9-Numb.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I just got taken out by a damn probot. Like, just lit me up. Wow. As Luke. With my lightsaber deflecting most of it. And as soon as that ran out, dead.
Good lord.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on here, but we are made of paper.
Now, granted, we had a team that had people ditching, so that may be that people are just like, you know what, screw this, if they're seeing the same thing that we're seeing. We'll find out.
I don't know. Like I was saying, they are, that wasn't even a player, you know what I mean? Like the Probot, it's a...
Yeah.
So, that was just weird to me, but who knows?
He's Han Solo. Michael's Han Solo. Bad flashbacks for anyone who played Kinect Star Wars, but I actually liked it, so I'm not gonna gripe too much. I enjoyed some of Kinect Star Wars for what it was. Man, he is just slicing me to ribbons. Mm-hmm. Granted, I'm trying to run away from him at the time, and he's literally just using the regular R2 slice. Like, not R2 the droid, but R2 the button. But, holy crap, 9-Numb is made of tissue paper.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like that with all of these guys. I couldn't even kill a regular stormtrooper just now, and he killed me. Just him.
Huh. With Luke? Or with who? Oh, with Han. You were just Han, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the singing. Alright, and hello. Got Indie Defense is joining. He's popped in on several before. Jay, I think I said hello. If I didn't, hello. My very belated hola. Or aloha. Or since we're talking Mace Windu, what's up, mother... Ah! Killed. Lots of death. They got to all of them. Yeah, it strikes me we might want to jump, if we're going to be doing heroes versus villains, might want to jump to heroes versus villains on Outer Rim and see if somebody is screwing with it, or if it's just dumb luck that has us all seeming like tissue paper.
Well, it's this Mario guy is apparently destroying everybody as well.
Who is it? Oh, it's a Mario.
This Mario
8
guy,
kills,
he
2
got
deaths.
all the kills.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, most of them. You can't tell the difference between a hero kill and a regular kill, though, I don't think, on that scoreboard, so...
Yeah, but still, when he's getting almost triple everybody else...
Well, shoot, the other day, I forget which mode I was playing, and I was playing in some mode the other day, and I hit 35 kills in one match, which never happens for me. So, I mean, it could just be a really good streak that somebody's on. It's unlikely, but it could be. I hear a screaming Palpatine! Come get me, you mother! Oh, and then there's Mario as Vader again. And yeah, he's able. Basically, one strike is taking off anywhere between 10 and 20 health from Vader on 9-num, for what that's worth.
It's worth a lot to me. See
Uh,
what I did there?
Wop, 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 wop. I know, we may jump into like 1 or 2 over on the other one. I know we're getting towards the 2-hour mark, and this is usually where things start to crap out if it's going to crap out. Hey, I'm number 1 on our team. Yeah. That goes to show you how shitty we are. Granted, I say that all the time, but when I'm streaming, usually I am playing pretty horribly. At some point, I need to just do a stream, because I can change the way that the stream looks. I can make it so that my little self is up there in the corner, but I don't have the chat, and that would distract me less. But I also don't think that's nearly as fun and interesting, because the whole point to me of doing these streams is less about the gameplay and more about the conversation, you know? So, I feel like I'm always playing like crap.
We have to make sure our vital personnel are protected.
I've been back and forth on how I've been playing this go round, but one thing. Good lord.
You dead, bro? I heard it get
a
loud.
Stupid ass stormtrooper that's just laying into me. Yeah. Droopy Python just ate my lunch.
He ate your lunch?
Yeah, dude.
For the longest time, I didn't think that meant just ate your lunch as in kicked your ass. For the longest time, I thought there was something sexual about that phrase. I was like, whoa, you ate your... Dude, this is a family show. Like, oh, wait, he's not saying anything. Never mind. My bad. That guy completely tossed my salad. Okay, that's different.
Yes.
Although I could go for a salad right now. I'm freaking starving. That may be what we do. For those of you who are in any state that is south enough that you have a Zaxby's, if you have never tried a Zensation salad, my God, you need to try one. Just saying. Have you tried a Zensation salad? Tell me you have.
I just said I haven't.
Oh my God, you must. I mean, Zaxby's already does some pretty good chicken salads kind of things too, like salads with chicken, not chicken salad.
Right.
But it's like an Asian style that's got like coleslaw type stuff built into it. It's got an egg roll built into it. It's got like this Asian sesame. It's just superb. For a fast food salad, it is awesome. Okay. And I really felt for it because I'm originally from Evansville, Indiana, as some people may know. And Evansville is getting its first Zaxby's right now. So as soon as they brought back the Zensation salad, I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are so, this is going to be so great. You're finally going to get to try it. And then my sister's like, yeah, they haven't opened yet. They're still building the building. It's like, oh, my bad. I mean, it's not great at all. It's cool. I can take it or leave it. Losing my big brother points right there. There we go. And
so I guess one thing we should bring up before we head out of here is the upcoming episode for Cloud City Casino.
Yes, what is our upcoming episode? Because I have no idea, because I don't know which ones we've released. That goes to show how much
we're all caught up to the last one. Yeah, so,
okay.
So the one
awesome.
so it'll be the Shadows of the Empire will be episode 52.
Awesome.
It should be coming out Tuesday unless something happens, but it shouldn't because everything has went smoothly thus far. So.
And that I'm going to jump us out and jump us to Heroes versus Villains on whatchamacallit, on Outer Rim.
Yeah, that sounds good. That was brutal.
Yeah, and this is an episode that we've been sort of leading up to for a while. We kept talking about wanting to do it. It's the 20th anniversary of Shadows of the Empire, so we got a chance to actually sit down and talk about the game, the concept, the multimedia aspect of it, the comics, the novel, the toys, even. It made for, I think, a pretty good. The date rape aspect of it. The whole pheromones thing with Shizor, but I think we gave it a pretty fair shake, and I think we had a pretty decent. Not just regular. There we go. Let me jump back out of here. I think we had a pretty good conversation about it, and if that sets the stage for future conversations about anniversaries of games and stuff like that, I think that'd be pretty good. Sometimes there just isn't, as we've seen before. Sometimes there just isn't a lot of news to talk about. in current Star Wars gaming. Now, we're coming up on a celebration. Sure, there'll be tons, but like last week there was hardly any, right? Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
yeah.
Okay, Michael.
Yes.
You're sitting down, right?
No.
You're not sitting down? Okay. Okay, well, Indie Defense in the chat just noted that the Shadows soundtrack is awesome. We had this conversation on the show. Michael loathes it.
What? When was
I felt
the
it was
last
kind of
time
weak,
you
but
listened to it?
That is true. You did just listen to it recently. You put yourself through that for the for the show. And I'm still searching for a match, so I guess we're not doing heroes versus villains on Outer Rim. I'll just jump us into a random Outer Rim match. Yeah, Shadows of the Empire soundtrack to me was never terrific, but I love the Force Unleashed, and I love the ones for KOTOR. So it's kind of like, by comparison to me, it's the weaker of them. But I haven't listened to it in years. So said Joel McNeely would be a good stand-in for Williams if something happens to him before the new films are finished. I'm waiting for Michael's head to just go. Game found. Hey, it's 3-on-2 right now. Woo!
We're gonna kick ass.
Oh, it's 3-1. We're gonna whoop some ass. Yeah. This is gonna be exactly like that. Oh, now it's 3-0.
No, it's just gonna be.
We're gonna win, man.
Let's see if this turns out like.
Although, actually, can we win? Because at least on
we can't kill the.
Yeah, we had this happen before on Drop Zone. It was 3 of us versus nobody, but all you had to do was capture the thingies, capture the pods. Whereas in this case, I don't know how the hell this is gonna work.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see. Indie Defense says, laugh out loud. Sorry, Michael. Let's see. Compson Roberts says, do you think any new lightsabers in the new trilogy will use the prequel or original trilogy effects? I actually like the way they did them. Pardon me, in The Force Awakens, because they actually. I'm not too concerned about how did they do the lighting effect itself, like of the actual blade. But in you can see I'm gassy like crazy. You can see in the documentary type stuff that comes in the special features, they actually used what looks like kind of a light effects type saber, where basically you had a light of the lightsaber color actually built into what they were using, so the light that was that was showing on the actors was more natural than a CG added light, and I thought that was fantastic. I love the depth of the light usage of the lightsabers in The Force Awakens. So for me, as long as they're still doing that, how they do the blades, I'm not really concerned about personally. What do you think, Mike? I mean, you're more of a stickler for that than I am. For that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with. I mean, I guess I don't quite understand. What is he asking specifically?
Whether the prequel or original trilogy effects will be what's used. I think this goes back to there's a steady, and there you go. He says it right as I'm about to explain it, so that's good. So I was on the right target. This is something actually that Mark brings up a lot. Mark from Star Wars Beyond the Films at StarWarsReport.com, folks. Basically that in the prequels, the lightsabers, when they're activated, are pretty much a steady color. They're a steady stream of energy. Whereas in the original trilogy, because of how they did the effects, there's like a strobing effect almost to them, a flickering to a degree, which is what you actually see with the lightsabers in Rebels now. Whereas the ones in Clone Wars fit more of the style of what we saw in the prequels. And there's sort of this question of, well, are they going to go back to either of those styles as the basis for doing future film lightsaber types? Like are they trying to make it different per era, or is it just is it homage that they're doing it in Rebels and they're just going to stick to the prequel way because that's just the new way, and so on.
Well, I mean,
I'm Greedo and it's Luke Skywalker. I'm fucked.
What was it in The Force Awakens?
Force Awakens, it was I believe it was steady color as opposed to strobe. But of course, they also had the way that they filmed it being different. But this is me saying that part kind of off the cuff, because that hasn't been something that I've talked about before. I don't think I've ever really looked into Strobe versus not. And by the way, Greedo sucks. Not a fan of playing as Greedo. That's like this. I'm going to try him again. I'm going to keep dying. I'm going to try him again. So I need to get a feel for Greedo again. I played with him a little bit to start with, and not so great right now. And starting next round.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, and maybe it's just me, but I kind of feel like they may have nerfed him down a little bit.
I haven't seen any recent
know better than I
updates,
would.
but
Right.
usually when there's a new update, I don't usually see it by going to the website for Battlefront. I'll see it because Kotaku will post about it. And then I'll go to the actual Battlefront website to get the specifics. But I haven't seen one in a little while, so that may be it. I may be missing a whatchamacallit, an update or a patch that has happened. Oh, balls! Yeah, Greedo is... Granted, Greedo's getting his butt kicked now because I'm just playing horribly, but he does seem to be a fairly weak character in terms of HP. That is, hit points, of course, as opposed to Hewitt-Packard. I'm sure he's probably a very weak character in terms of HP as well because his printer ink always runs out. But that's neither here nor there. Oh! Oh, dead. I think I just found a piece I never realized existed on this map, though. So I died, but I found something I'm like, cool!
We must counter.
Now, where was it?
Yeah.
It was like there was like a hole in the ground that you could run into. Like a lower level, even below this, but not one of the areas that I usually think of when I think of those lower levels. Because usually you were using those caves and whatnot in extraction.
None remain. The battle is lost.
And we're all dead.
Yep. Copson Robert says, I always assumed the strobe was due to the age of the lightsabers, but that could change with the new movies. Yeah, that's what Mark attributes it to also. I honestly don't know. All right, screw playing as the Rhodian. I'm going to bust out Vader.
So was there a strobe in TFA? I don't remember if I
have
asked
no
that
idea.
or if I...
You asked it, and I didn't know, and I don't know if anybody in the chat knows,
right.
but if you know, let me know, or let us know. Let me know so I can let him know because he can't see the chat. So if you totally want to say some stuff behind Michael's back, dudes, like, for real, there's no way he's going to know unless he goes back and rewatches the stream later.
I'm not going to do that.
So, all right, so there you go. Oh, blah, blah. Be like, kapla! Wow! And Vader is getting the shit torn out of him, but this is because Vader was trying to walk and somehow had his feet stuck on something, was barely able to move forward. So now I'm a trooper again.
The rebels just eliminated one of our own.
I am amazed at how badly I'm doing on heroes versus villains at this point. Probably because I'm doing the brute force charge, and if they did do any nerfing, it must have been to make it so that you can't do a brute force charge anymore.
Yeah. Like I said, I kind of feel like there's been some tweaks done to these heroes, but I could
We'll just have to see. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the jump out of this because we were at 2:08. I don't want the stream to die on us, so we'll kind of give our goodbyes and stuff. I'm going to get a chance to kind of check and see where my stats are because I always try to give a sense of that as we're plowing on through here for those who do try to follow this. I do play a tiny bit when I'm not streaming, but haven't really all that much lately except for finishing out those hut contracts that I wasn't thinking I could do on the stream. So let's look at collect. Oh, collect doesn't say there's one up. Yep, now it's saying there's one more of something available. Freaking bullshit. Okay, let's see. I'm at 21,884 credits, which basically means I've got enough for the, what's his name? For the weekway. Not enough yet to be able to upgrade another star card. I am sitting at a little over halfway between rank 58 and 59 now. And I guess we can check the diorama, but who gives a shit? It's the diorama. We'll pull it up anyway. Because, you know, someone might be interested. So, that being said, of course, be able to check us out, of course, on Cloud City Casino with that Shadows of the Empire episode coming up very soon. Cloud City Casino, of course, is over at StarWarsReport.com. Michael, where can they find you and yo stuff?
Well, that was it. There. Cloud
What
City
about
Casino.
Twitter? What about Facebook and stuff?
Yeah. So we have the Cloud City Casino Twitter and Facebook, and then of course I have my Morris Twitter account that I look at from time to time. And I actually, because I'm trying to go through and start some of this junk up myself, but I actually just set up the Morris Isley Twitch, which I don't know why I needed to do that since we also have the Cloud City Casino one, but whatever,
Nice.
I did it. So
Nice. I need to set up a Twitch at some point just because I'm told that you can auto-archive to YouTube, and maybe that'll give me a chance to use my to buy a Kinect and use the Xbox to do Force Unleashed, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to spend that money just yet. All right, so let's see if I can get through my spiel. And by the way, that's the next one I'm working on, by the way, right now, folks, for the sort of working on for the diorama that I'm just kind of watching eventually get to it. All I got to do is kill 51 more individuals as an Imperial soldier to get the Magma Trooper. But somehow I still have, how many? I still have over 200 to get as a rebel, so somehow I'm killing a lot more as a stormtrooper than I am as a rebel. Which, maybe it's just an ideological thing. Rebels don't want to kill unless they have to, or something. In any event, of course, you can find the podcast that I'm involved with. Of course, we already said one, Cloud City Casino, me and Michael. That's at StarWarsReport.com. Also on StarWarsReport.com, you can find Star Wars Beyond the Films, which I do with Mark Hurleman, legends and canon topics and whatnot, continuity topics and things like that, books, comics, whatever. You can find on this channel, of course, from the Star Wars Home Video Library, a guide to Disney Infinity for Star Wars fans, which I'm going to have to stop mentioning sometime soon because they're not doing any more Star Wars or Marvel content for it, and the game is dying. And, of course, my vlog, The Voice of Reason or Lack Thereof, and so on, all here on the channel. You can find my Star Wars chronology, the Star Wars Timeline Gold, the most comprehensive Star Wars chronology available anywhere over at StarWarsFanWars.com/timeline. And if you really want to do a deep dive into some really old stuff like Chrono Radio, Second Strike, my audio drama that is a Choose Your Own Adventure audio drama for Star Wars fan-made thing called Always in Motion Ambush on Ankara, you can find all of those at just StarWarsFanWars.com without the /timeline on it. You can find Star Wars Beyond the Films at SW Beyond Films on Twitter. You can find a Cloud City Casino, as he mentioned, at Cloud City Casino on Twitter. Star Wars Timeline Gold doesn't really have one, but I do reposts of the Facebook stuff onto Twitter with at SW Fanworks. And on Facebook, those are, Facebook.com/SW Timeline Gold, SW Beyond Films, and as he mentioned, Cloud City Casino. So lots and lots of places to find the stuff. And again, since I don't promote it enough, be sure to check out a long time ago Exploring the Star Wars Cinematic Universe, which you can find on places like Amazon and whatnot, edited by Rich Hanley and so on. But that's where you'll find that article I was mentioning about Season 1 of Rebels that I did. In Volume 2 of that, I'll have an article about the Marvel comics from the beginning up through the end of the adaptation of Empire Strikes Back. And in the last of those 3 volumes, I have an afterword to wrap up the entire series that is an afterword opposite of Timothy Zahn. Of course, author of some crappy novels like Choices of One and greatness like the Thrawn trilogy. And I just made Michael's head explode again. There we go. All right,
mediocre.
Folks. Thank you very much for watching. We will catch you again sometime in the near future. But until then, may the Force be with you. And thank you for watching the stream. And Michael, thank you for being here again.
Thanks for having me, bud.